AmaXhosa royal household has announced that all celebrations, including summer initiations, should be postponed. It's part of a one-year mourning period for King Mpendulo Zwelonke Sigcawu. To discuss what the death means and steps to be followed in laying the king to rest, I'm joined in studio by the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, Secretary General Zolani Mkiva. Mr. Mkiva, thank you so much for coming through. So this is a major event in the life of AmaXhosa. I mean, it feels like just yesterday, it was 2015, we were gathered at Ngadu, great place, for the coronation of King Zwelonke Sigcawu, and today it is a sad occasion for the AmaXhosa. Take me through what the mourning period entails.
Well, the mourning period entails in us sort of upholding a period wherein we observe with full respect the fact that the king has departed to join the ancestors. And it is in that period wherein we do some kind of a reflection as a people to correct our wrongs, to use that as part and parcel of a spiritual retreat, if you like, so that we can sort of ponder and replenish our lives, given the fact that is the end of a chapter which is going to mark the beginning of another chapter in our lives. And this is done against the background that a king who is a king to his people, he is a spiritual leader, the custodian of the heritage, and all other responsibilities that he has. Therefore, there is a period of a handover from one king to the other as well, which is also part and parcel of what happens when a king transitions. Therefore, the mourning season is a necessary tool for a nation to find closure, but also to prepare for the next steps and the next chapter and so on.
So it sounds like a deeply spiritual and reflective
it is a spiritual exercise
for the AmaXhosa. But what do you then say to the people? How do they take part in this mourning period?
The people take part in this mourning season by ensuring that their behavioral pattern, it employs that essence of respect that we must conduct in ourselves in a manner that is observing the fact that we have lost our senior, we have lost our custodian. We should not just do as we wish. It's time to recollect ourselves.
How much do you think this will be observed for a period of a year? To what extent do you believe people will be able to observe some of what is sort of expected at this particular point? For instance, the summer initiation rites sort of being suspended. Many people had already started making arrangements for those. Imigidi also being suspended. Weddings, basically the appeal being that people should hold off on doing those things. Do you really think people will do that?
Well, the royal family has made a clarion call to the entire nation that we need to observe that period of mourning. And this is not a command. This is a clarion call, as I say. And the issue wherein there's a talk about suspension, we cannot expect at this time and at this hour that people would cancel the plans that they had already done for the summer season. There was a little bit of a misinformation there and in that regard. Because in terms of the African calendar, particularly the Xhosa calendar, the month of going into initiation, that is the rites of passage from boyhood to manhood, is Inyanga Yesilimela, which is June. That has already passed. Therefore, insofar as the AmaChawe clan, which is the ruling dynasty of AmaXhosa, come 2020, to them it is mandatory that no one will be expected in next year, because that will be still part and parcel of the mourning season. No boys from the AmaChawe clan will go through the rites. And then that particular call, which is mandatory in the AmaChawe clan, is voluntary in the broader, because things have changed. We live in different times and we move with times. So in this case, there is a lot of rugged individualism that has been brought by coloniality and so on and so forth. And people have got this sense of individuality which moves away from communality spirit, the spirit of communalism. And therefore we take that into stock. But it goes with blessings if you heed that call.
Right.
So it's up to them. The royal family has issued the statement.
Right.
But I want to correct this, that we are saying to people must suspend and cancel their plans for the summer. No, people must go ahead with their plans. And further announcements will be made after the funeral.
And indeed, we will continue talking as we, in the days leading up to the funeral. Thank you so much for coming through. Zolani Mkiva is the Secretary General of the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa.